and then to put them together into this programmatic statement, a carefully crafted sermon, an inaugural lecture. Yes, one could even consider it to be a presidential State of the Nation address. Jesus, the new Moses, climbs the mountain to speak and to lead us on a new exodus into a new promised land. The kingdom of God has arrived. God's reign wants to become visible. And you, Matthew, present us with its charter. You tell us how to enter into a new way of being together, to be part of this ancient prophetic vision of Shalom. Jesus' speech indeed marks a radical departure and signals a moment of unapologetic interruption. You are the light of the world. So Matthew, this is an extraordinary acclamation. It is even more outrageous when we think about to whom it is spoken. The way you have arranged the material, it is addressed to those mentioned in the Beatitudes, those who are blessed, not because they cope, but because they do not cope, because they acknowledge that they are poor in spirit, mourning, exploited, in need of peace and justice. But Matthew, how can they be blessed? How can they be the light of the world? Are they not the ones sitting in darkness? What do they have to share, to offer but despair and pain? Sorry, could you please repeat your answer? You mean they are blessed, they are called to be the light of the world because they are aware that things cannot stay the same? So you mean because they are ready for change, radical change, Jesus is ready to work with them, to encourage and affirm them? Well, that does put a spoke into the wheel of our usual procedures. When we look for volunteers in a crisis situation, we expect the strong, the bold, and able to respond and lead the rest. But you make it clear that Jesus wanted to work and recruit the most vulnerable, those who feel the need for change strongest. It's in some way a vision of transformation that begins at grassroots level. Matthew, when I think of the present lockdown, then maybe that must also include all those in our congregation who feel even more strongly now how unequal our society is. Those of us who feel rather useless and powerless in our attempt to offer help. Those who are not afraid to face difficult truths. How much this pandemic once again reveals and exposes the devastating inequality in our land. In some ways, then, this is an invitation to all of us to make ourselves more vulnerable, to feel our own limitations, to acknowledge a sense of being overwhelmed and confused, to allow ourselves to mourn the present situation, the separation, isolation that goes far deeper than physical distance. But Matthew, I take great comfort in your message, that such honesty and vulnerability makes us ready for change, allows us to be interrupted, become more restless and uncomfortable. We cannot go on like this. Also, once the pandemic has lost its deadly sting, and then even more so. You are the light of the world. Matthew, once we have agreed with you that to be light has nothing to do with our abilities and achievements, but has everything to do with our willingness to make ourselves more vulnerable and admit our limitations, where do we go from here? You want me to go back to the first part of the gospel? Which prophecy? The people that have sat in darkness, they've seen a great light.